Hello, I'm Amanda Hocking, and I am here to talk to you about what I've got going on with the My Blood Approved saga. I'm really excited about this. I've been sitting on this announcement for a while now. So if you don't already know, if you haven't seen some of the other stuff that I'm posting, I'm going to do a quick introduction to the My Blood Approved Saga Updated Edition. So, the My Blood Approved Saga is 5 books that I originally started publishing in 2010, and then the final book came out in 2016. And so there's 5 books in total, and 1 novella, and now there's one new thing that I'll be telling you in a minute. And so I wrote them years ago, and so I just wanted to kind of update them and correct some things, and I'll go over what the updated means in just a second. But I just want to run down what the books are and everything. So now I am doing a new updated edition. And so for all the books in the saga, they've all been updated to correct problematic language and situations. They've also been re-edited to fix some of the grammar and spelling errors. And I also have new covers for the entire series. I have a new ebook collection for the very first time. You can get all of the books, the entire saga, in one ebook bundle. I also have a new paperback edition that will include the novella, Letters to Elise, and also the new short story, and some other fun bonus stuff as well. And then there's also the new short story that I just mentioned, a new holiday short story. It's set 7 years after the events of Swear, and Alice gets called away on a mission right before Christmas, and so she's in this little mountain town, and some weird things are happening, and Jack goes along with her, and she's once again caught balancing danger and romance. It's kind of a fun little story. It's just a little check-in on the characters to see how they're all doing, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, a Christmas story. And this one just really, I was like, it just finally hit me that now is the time, and this is the right thing. And again, just to reiterate, what's happening is the paperback books are already for sale. The ebooks are available for pre-order, and they're available for anywhere ebooks are sold. I've got links all over to get the paper. I know that the paperbacks are at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, IndieBound, and then the ebooks are for Kindle, Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Apple. There's just everywhere. So I've got links and stuff for everything where you can get them. You can also, if you're having trouble finding them at your favorite store that you're looking at, do My Blood Approved's Updated Edition, and that should help you find them, because that's what I'm calling My Blood Approved's Updated Edition. And so again, I will show you the covers now of the books, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. I really wanted them to pay homage to the original covers, and I also wanted to include elements of the covers that Regina Wamba did for the re-release. And so I wanted a little elements of both to pay homage to both of them, because I actually loved all the covers the books have had. But I wanted to kind of just spruce them up and have them kind of symmetrical and all match, because I knew I was going to do this updating thing. So this is what the ebook covers will look like. And again, the My Blood Approved saga has everything else in it. That's the whole thing. But you can also buy each piece separately too. If you just want to get the new short story, you can just get that. If you just want to get Swear, because I know some people had a hard time finding Swear, you can just get Swear too. Or you can just get the ebook bundle and get all of them re-edited in one bundle, and there's some bonus things in there too. So that's the ebooks. As for the paperbacks, this is what the paperback set will look like. And in the paperback set, you'll see each individual book, and then there is a collection of the shorter work. So the Letters, Love, and Blood contains Letters to Elise, the prequel novella, and it also contains the new holiday short story, Little Tree. So you can get all of that, and you can do, so no matter what, you can have the books in ebook or paperback on your shelves. There are no hardcover at this time, and there are Audible versions of the original books in the series, none for the updated versions or for Little Tree yet. It's something that I'm working on, and hopefully I'll be able to get those. I'm not really sure exactly how it's going to work, because I have released these before. I don't know if if the audio is going to, if I'm going to be able to find a good audio dealer, but I do like to have, just the accessibility, so I'll try to see if I can get something worked out that way for the audiobooks. So now I want to go in and explain what updated means exactly, and why I've decided to do this now the way that I did. So to start off, I'm going to say that last year, if you're not familiar, I re-edited and re-released Virtue, which was a book that I originally had self-published and I wrote shortly before 2011. I think I self-published it in 2011. And so Virtue was a book that I liked, and I'd been thinking about it, and I wanted to extend the series. And when I went back to reread it, I realized there were more problematic elements than I remembered, and I kind of wanted to fix them and clean them up. It doesn't need to be so sexist and ableist and body shaming and stuff. There's just like some gross and internal things that I projected out that I don't want other people to have to absorb. Now, with the My Blood Approved series, I actually did know more about some of these problematic stuff. There was stuff that I figured out very quickly after publishing, especially in terms of how slut-shaming and misogynistic Alice can be at times. The characters in general, not just Alice, to be fair. But since it's a first-person POV, I think it's filtered more through her than some of the other characters, but it was still really there. And that was something that bothered me, and I tried to correct the character of Jane at the time and make things better, because Jane got the brunt of the slut-shaming for sure, and some of the grosser attitudes. But there was stuff that I couldn't see when I tried to fix it and re-edit it even then. I mean, because that's the reality is I started writing these books when I was in my early 20s, and I had absorbed a great deal. I love pop culture, I love books, I love movies, I love TV shows. And so I'm absorbing all these things all the time, the way that all young people in America are, and most of them all over the world. And you end up absorbing things that are negative. And then there's also stuff you pick up in your home and your town and your school, etc., etc. And so it's super easy to pick up things that, aren't good or helpful or healthy. And so I had absorbed a lot of them, and Alice projected a lot of them. But it was, now that I have the perspective, that I've done some I've done a lot of inventory with myself and a lot of different things, and I've done a lot of therapy, and it's easier to see these things now that I'm older and I have perspective. And so a lot of things became very glaringly obvious about Alice and her feelings and things like that. So I wanted to update the things that I think are actively harmful, but it is a fine line, because Alice, I also think, is an accurate representation of who, she's not, I wouldn't call her like full Mary Sue, because she's way more like, but anyway, she embodied a lot of who I was at 17, and a lot of the things that I did at 17. And yeah, some of those things are negative, and some of those things are just byproducts of depression and low self-esteem, and, and being just like a teenager who doesn't have control, who doesn't have control over their situation. And so I think it's important to leave some of those elements in there. And it's important that Alice isn't a bad person or a bad character because she has these things, the same way that I wasn't a bad person or a bad character because I was that way. In the same way that you are not. You know what I mean? We're all kind of flawed, and we're working on different things. And just because Alice is at the beginning of her journey doesn't mean that, she's not valid and she's not worthy. And so I didn't want to remove like everything from her, even though a lot of her, I wanted to leave some of her flaws and things in there. And so I think I tried to walk the balance between that, but just removing some ableist language, some overly sexist language. I know the one line that I remember like really just being like, holy cow, Alice, is in one of the books. Jane has just been injured. She's gone through a traumatic event, and she's kind of recouping in a bed, and Alice comes in to see her, and Jane's just kind of like, what? And like staring at her, and Alice is like, oh, she's probably jealous because I'm the pretty one now. And it's like, really, really, Alice, you think that's the first thing that's on Jane's mind? But I will say, canonically, at the time, that was accurately, I guess, what I thought Jane was thinking when I wrote it, is I thought, well, yeah, obviously Jane's thinking that, because that's what I would be thinking. I don't know exactly where, stuff like that comes from. But seeing it now, I did remove that, and I changed it and reworked it, because especially without hearing, it was important to me that even if Alice has some of these thoughts, that doesn't mean that Jane is two-dimensional. So I did try to flesh Jane out a bit more in these books, because, she is a whole person, and sometimes she does the wrong things, sometimes she does crappy things. She's a teenager. Teenagers do dumb stuff sometimes. And so I want them to be allowed to do that, to make mistakes, to be flawed, to have incorrect ideas. But I don't want it to be harmful to the readers. I don't want it to be something that the reader who, I have young adults reading this book, absorbing it, and feeling the same self-loathing for themselves that Alice felt about herself and that Jane felt about herself. I'm trying to allow them to be flawed, without teaching another generation how to hate themselves, is kind of what I tried to do. There was also a ton of body shaming, because I really, really hated that I was fat. I really hated that about myself, and I thought it was gross, and fat was just bad. And now I can accept the fact that, yeah, I'm fat, and this is just who I am, and it's honestly not a big deal. It's not something that I even really think about very often. It's just like, it's just, I'm a person and here it is. But there was a lot of fat shaming. There was some weird, like, homophobia too, and I thought that I had been more accepting, and it's making me reevaluate, what the acceptance level was even then. Just some of the comments that Alice makes, around Milo initially. I changed those up, and it's not so much that because I feel like Alice still doesn't have a perfect response. I don't change who she is. She bungles up, the response when Milo comes out to her because she is not in touch with her emotions. She's depressed. She's anxious. She's kind of going through an antagonistic phase in her life, and she doesn't know what to do. I mean, I would say that was one of the things that was very clear to me that I didn't really recall as writing it, is that it's obvious that Alice is angry. that she is a very angry, lost young girl who is trying to figure out where she fits in and what she's supposed to do with her life. And the books really do cover that as it goes on. And so I don't want to cut down her anger and her loss and some of her reactions and stuff. So I try to keep those things in there, but just try to make the language that she's using be less insensitive. Because there was like one of the other things that inspired me to do this, and when I was like, I think I should do it now, was just, it was Beyonce and Lizzo changing the words from their songs. If you're unaware of the situation, I'm going to explain it. And so, trigger warning for some ableist language. Beyonce and Lizzo had songs that they released this summer, and on both the tracks they used the word spaz, which is the ableist language, and because it's referring to spastic motions and using it as like a negative connotation, like is why, it's not, why we shouldn't be using it, because it's harmful to people with disabilities. I am saying it ineloquently right now because I am not an expert on these things. This is just basically what I have been trying to learn and read and understand so that I am writing books that are less harmful for people. So, because they removed some of those words and languages, I thought that was something that I should do too. I know there were some words and stuff in there that I used that I changed. I really did not like some of the way that I talk about the sex workers / blood workers in later books. I didn't like that. I thought it was gross. So I changed that up. And it's not like I'm trying to eliminate these things or even eliminate the realities. I'm just trying to give respect and consideration for the people who do these things and acknowledge the humanity in all professions and all walks of life. And it's easy to kind of I think lose sight of that. No, I'm definitely going to sorry, just like a little just my allergies have been crazy lately. The weather's been wonderful and warm and strange. But anyway, I want to talk more in future videos about what I learned from rereading these books and from updating them and how I think I've grown and changed as a person and the things that I can see. There's a lot of stuff that becomes very obvious, and there's stuff that I can see. It's crazy the things that I didn't know about myself that I had to go to therapy and uncover. And then I can go back and read a book from 10 years ago and I'm basically screaming it between the lines. Like the answers are right there and I just refuse to see them. And there's a lot of like things both big and small that are that way in the books. I guess this is definitely, one of the most personal series for me. I did put so much of myself in it, and again, Alice isn't, just like me or anything. Alice is a lot different than me in a lot of ways. She I think speaks her mind more, and she's way more bold and way more confident in herself. But there are still so many elements of me that I infused her with because I was trying to write a realistic character, and I was also trying to write a character that I related to. Some of her reactions to me now don't make sense anymore to me because I've changed the way that I think. It's cognitive behavior therapy. You actually like change your brain patterns, and you don't realize that you get these thought patterns in your head. Like it was just like whenever anything happened, Alice was like, oh, so I ruined it and they hate me. Like immediately she catastrophizes everything instantly. And I did leave a lot of that in there because I think that it was true and realistic. Again, I was just trying to soften some of the language and some of the context for some of the things, and also trying to put a little bit more objectivity into it and say, because I want the reader to be aware that just because Alice thinks this way, it does not mean that you should think this way. It's this weird line where you want, if I'm writing a character who is flawed and has emotional issues and has trauma that she's working through. She's going to behave imperfectly. And I want readers to feel like they're allowed to behave imperfectly. So I don't want, Alice isn't always going to have a perfect trauma response. I just want to make sure that that she's not hurting my readers in the process of having the trauma response. Do you know? Does that make sense? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so that's the short of it. So yeah, I'm going to go on definitely in the future, and I'll be talking more about, what I learned about, myself and about the books and why I made some of the changes that I made and things like that, going more in depth in future videos. But I really just wanted to do like a kind of quick breakdown and explain to you what's happening. I'm really excited about this. I think this is, a lot of fun, and I really got to re-fall in love with these books again. And I have not been as connected with these books since I first started publishing them. I think since before I published Wisdom, even, because by the time Wisdom was published, I had started getting a lot of hate and started going, everything was kind of like, it was a really weird time. There was a lot of really high highs and really low lows all crammed in together. And it was a very complicated time. And, so I really felt disconnected from these books. And even when I was writing Swear, I was able to reconnect with them, but I struggled because I could see the flaws, and it was hard for me to connect when I was like, I know these are harmful. Like, how do I do this? How do I, reconcile these things? And it's still a struggle to figure out how to reconcile these things, because this is going to keep happening, in various ways, that hopefully I keep growing and changing and becoming a better writer and becoming a more conscientious person who is, writing less harmful things. But then that means I'm going to keep looking back at my books and being like, okay, well, there are elements and things. Hopefully it won't be as bad. But it's hard to say exactly, because you don't know what you don't know, which is the most terrible thing, is if I don't know the things that I can't see, the mistakes that I'm making, because if I knew they were mistakes, I wouldn't make them. But the moral, I really did reconnect. I did fall in love with them. I found a compassion and love for Alice that I hadn't had in such a long time. Like, I'd always had that love for like Jack and Ezra and Peter, and things like that. But I had struggled, I guess, loving Alice. But now I do love her. I think that she's trying, and she makes mistakes, and I don't know. I think I really like how I feel like she is in the updated versions. I think I found the balance I want. I mean, obviously, I think some people are going to think that I changed too much. Some people are going to think that I didn't change enough. But for me, it was a struggle of keeping the balance of keeping her who she is, and keeping the story as it was without, like making any major plot changes or anything like that, but just, making it a kinder book for readers. And so that was really like the main goal. And I do think I achieved what I set out to achieve. I do absolutely adore these books. I've been working on them, and I've just been so excited, and it has been so hard for me not to talk to you about it, because this is so exciting. I know that so many people are excited about this, and I am excited about it, and I love it, and they're beautiful, they're clean, they're just all ready to go. And like I said, the paperbacks are already available, and I got links everywhere, and the ebooks will be out November 7th, so it's less than a week away. November 7th, 22, they'll be out. So if you're watching this after that, they're already out. And Little Tree it's a cute little, it's nothing like, it is a short story, so don't expect like an epic long saga, but I wanted to really see what the characters are doing. I wanted to check in with them. We've all been through so much in the past 7 years since Swear came out. 6 years, I guess, is actually when it came out, but it was 7 years in the book. Time has passed. Anyway, and then so I wanted to be able to have you guys just kind of check in and see who they are and how it's going. I think I'll be excited to see it. I'm really happy. And it's fun for me to watch the characters grow and change. And I don't feel like I have a full novel length with these, exact characters in it anymore. But, I do feel like I've basically concluded Alice and Jack's story. But it was still nice to just be able to just check in with them and be like, hey, what are you guys up to? And so this is just, you get to see kind of what their life is like, now. And, you know, and especially because Alice's story was such a coming of age story. And, you know, now we've been following her for like, gosh, 12, 13 years, you know, in the book time, it's been 12 or 13 years. So she's, yeah, 13 years. Because the first book takes place in 2008, Swear takes place in 2014, and Little Tree takes place in 2021. And so we've really, you know, seen her for 13 years growing up. She starts out at 17 and now she's 30, you know what I mean? And so she's changed a lot. She's gone through a lot, and she is a different person. I mean, she's the same, but she's different. Like, she's really grown into herself, and it's really fun to see who she is. And she's definitely, I mean, yeah, it was fun to write her and to see where she is. And I think that you guys will like it. I do. I hope so. So I guess I'll be back next week with more. I'll be talking more about this and probably some other stuff and what else I'm working on and ideas and things. I'll talk more also about what I think my publishing schedule is going to look like, what else I'm working on, if I'm going to revisit any of my other old series. I think that's going to be all in the next video because this one's already getting kind of long. But yeah, My Blood of Peruse, updated editions are out now. Please check them out. I think that you guys will really enjoy them. And let me know what you think. Please do. Like, let me know. I want to know. I worked hard on this, and I want to know what you guys think about all of it, because it has been fun and exciting, and I haven't been able to talk about it with anyone, and it's very, you know, here it is. So yeah, until next time, stay safe, be kind, and happy reading.